Page 91, Lesson 2.2 is on determining unit rates with ratios of fractions. So on page 91, Allison and her classmates planted bean seeds at the same time as Yuki and her classmates in Tokyo did. Allison is video chatting with Yuki about their class seedlings. Assume that both plants will continue to grow at the same rate. Who should expect to have the taller plant at the end of the school year? So you can see here Allison's class, it's growing at 2.5 inches in 5 days. Yuki's class has grown 5.5 centimeters in 4 days. So an issue we have on this problem is that we have different units. The one is in inches. United States, we're going to use inches. And pretty much anywhere else they are going to be talking about centimeters, metric system. So one thing we're going to have to do on this problem is we are going to have to do a conversion. So a conversion we would need for this, it's not an exact conversion, but 1 inch is about 2.54 centimeters. So this is going to be a conversion we can work with as we do this problem. So one way of doing this is if we just start with this conversion, 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. And we could take the 2.5 inches and we can convert that into centimeters. So to convert it into centimeters, to go from 1 inch to 2.5 inches, we'll multiply by 2.5. So 2.54 times 2.5. And we could put a variable there if you wanted to, but anyway, that should come out as 6.35 centimeters. So what that tells us is for Allison's class, it's 6.35 centimeters in 5 days. So let's go ahead and number our steps here. So 6.35 centimeters in 5 days. Then we can get a unit rate if we divide by 5. So if you divide that out, it would be 1.27 centimeters per day. Okay, now again, this is for Allison's class. For Yuki's class, we've already got it in centimeters, so it's 5.5 centimeters in 4 days. So we divide both of those by 4, and that's 1.375 centimeters per day. So once we have these as unit rates, we can compare these. So 1.27, 1.375, you can see in the 10th place, we've got in Yuki's, there's a 3 in the 10th place. In Allison's, there's a 2 in the 10th place. So from that, we could see that Yuki's plant is growing at a faster rate. And so we would expect that Yuki's class would have the taller plant at the end of the school year. This is one way of doing this problem. The other option we have is that we could change Yuki's class measurement into inches. If this is our conversion we're working with, this is 5.5 centimeters. This doesn't work out quite as nice. For proportions, you can have a pattern multiplying or dividing going across or up and down in your fraction. So from 2.54 to 5.5, that doesn't look like a nice pattern, but going towards that empty spot, we could go from 2.54 to 1 by dividing by 2.54. So 5.5 divided by 2.54 doesn't come out very nice. It's about 2.17. So that's 2.17 inches. So 2.17 inches in 4 days. And then if you divide that out, it comes out to about 0.5425 inches per day. And then for Allison's class, it was 2.5 inches in 5 days. So if you divide that by 5, that would be 0.5 inches per day. So 0.5425 is bigger than 0.5, so that would be another way of showing that. Again, it worked out a little bit better with the conversion we had anyway, to just convert Allison's class over to centimeters and work it out that way. But technically either way would work to figure this out. Example 1. Sergio is training for a triathlon. His target speed is 25 miles per hour. Did he achieve his target speed for the first 7 miles of his ride? So you can see from the picture here, he went 7 miles in 15 minutes. The goal is 25 miles per hour. So what we could do is think about 15 minutes is a fourth of an hour. So if every fourth of an hour he goes 7 miles, in 1 hour he would have gone 7 times 4, or 28 miles. And so 28 miles in 1 hour means 28 miles per hour. Another way we could have done this is we could have said 7 miles in 1/4 of an hour. And then if you multiply both of those by 4, 1/4 times 4 equals 1, and then 7 times 4 equals 28, just finding again an equivalent ratio. And if you're not sure on how that would work, 1/4 times 4, 4 is like 4 over 1. We've talked about it before, but a number times its reciprocal equals 1. So normally with reciprocals, we just think of them as, with dividing fractions, and then we keep change reciprocal. But actually, by definition, a number multiplied by its reciprocal equals 1. So if we're wanting to find in 1 hour, if we had a fourth of an hour, we just multiply by the reciprocal, would be multiplying by 4 over 1, which is kind of a handy trick, really, because, let's say we had 5/6 of an hour. Okay, not as nice to work with, right? But if we had 5/6 of an hour and we were wanting to get to 1 hour, we could multiply by the reciprocal, which would be 6/5, in order to get that to 1 hour. One other option you have on this problem is you could look at it as 7 miles in 1/4 of an hour. And you could say, well, 1/4 divided by 1/4 equals 1. And then 7 divided by 1/4, change reciprocal. And then you'd end up getting 28 also that way. So you got a few different options on how to work that one out. But like what we did here, if you always just divide by what this number is in your denominator, that will always give you a unit rate. So if you look at the try it, Sergio increases his target speed to 30 miles per hour. How many more miles does Sergio need to ride in 1/4 of an hour to achieve his target speed? So what they're doing here is they're starting with this unit rate of 30 miles per hour, and we're kind of working backwards to figure out in 1/4 of an hour how far he would have to ride. So to get from 1 hour to 1/4 of an hour, we need to divide by 4. 1 divided by 4 is 1/4. That's what that means. So if we divide by 4 on that part, we need to divide by 4 on the other part as well. So 30 divided by 4 would be 7 2/4, which reduces to 7 1/2. So 7 1/2. If you were using a calculator and you divided that out and you get 7.5, that would work also. So to get this target, then he would have to ride 7 1/2 or 7.5 miles. Before he was riding 7 miles in 1/4 of an hour. So to get from 7 to 7 1/2, that would be an additional 1/2 mile for every 4th hour. So every 15 minutes he would have to ride an additional 1/2 mile in order to meet his new target speed.